the champion leader, do I offer thanks of victory. O Theotokos.
So I wanted to speak today about a couple of very short and small things. And what I would first want to point out to everybody is if you have a toolbox and you have it, of course, filled with all the tools that you need, and something breaks in your home, and you don't go to the toolbox and get the tool that you need, it'll never get fixed. Or if you're using just one thing for everything, say, hanging paintings and you're using a hammer when you have perfectly good screws and a screwdriver. There are other tools that can do the job better that just aren't being used. And what I want to focus on is the use of the tool that we all have that we tend to sometimes forget about and ignore. And so, I'm really sorry to put them on the spot, but after church, find one of our kids and ask them what they learned at camp. Honestly, the message is better for us all than just for them. What they learned at camp was something that we kept referring to as more or less back to basics. To just believe. And the thing that struck me most that kind of influenced the whole week and what we learned is the way that Father Stephen had put it at the beginning of the week. You can pray or you can not pray, and it doesn't matter. Because unless you want to, nothing's happening. Correct? We can all, has anybody ever been reading a book and you just kind of drifted off in your head and suddenly you're 6 pages ahead and you don't know what actually happened? It's the same thing with prayer. If you're not actively giving yourself a reason to want to do it, you're not really doing anything. And prayer is not for God. We're not giving these prayers up so that God is happy. And He's not some mean judge who demands that we give Him something every day. We have prayer for us. We have everything in the church for us. And we can include it in our lives. And we can let it be something beautiful that we use. Or we can just let it be a sort of piece of the puzzle. It sits there, but has no real meaning. But that was the entire focus that we had at camp this week. It's just believe. Put into what the church gives all of us a very specific type of effort. Because we're all called on to have a personal relationship with God. When God walked with Adam and Eve in the garden, it wasn't God the Father, it was Christ before His incarnation. And He didn't walk with them to get a report of their day. And He certainly didn't tell them, well, you come here and find me every day and bow down before me and pray with me, or pray to me. He just walked with them. And the point of that is that we are meant to have a personal relationship with God. He wanted a friendship with us. He wants an actual conversation with us, not just some one-sided thing where we dump all this worship on Him. And it's the same thing that Christ had with His very apostles. He called them friends. He wept over Lazarus having died because Lazarus was His friend. This wasn't just God walking around in a man's body. This was our personal God being one of us and one with us. And I told the campers in a few of my different talks that personal relationship that we develop with God is exactly that. It's personal. Nobody can tell you what's right or what's wrong about it. I mean, if you're doing something blatantly against the church, it's a little bit wrong. I mean, you can't say, well, my personal relationship to God is sacrificing goats to Him. We don't really do that anymore. But what I described to them is, I don't pray in the morning. I'm not a morning person. You can ask Bonnie. She probably tested that over and over again. But what I do is when I wake up, I say, okay, God, I'm awake. Help me out today. I make the sign of the cross, and that's it. I'm off. I'm on my way. But in the evening, I devote more time because I know that's when I'm most attentive, and that's when I have the time to give that to God. And what I require in prayer, what I've come to be comfortable with, is not what everybody's meant to be comfortable with. You have to do that in your own way. I know plenty of other people who their prayer is just talking to God, literally talking. Dear God, here's what happened in my life today. They just unload the list. This was bad, please help me out. This was great, thank you for that. Done. Never open a prayer. But God's still there. He's still with us in that moment. And it's all about developing that personal connection. Finding out where we relate to the God who just wants to be close to us. And then the second thing, again, I'm kind of putting some of our children on the spot, is to ask our young women who were at the Young Women's Encounter about St. John Maximovich. While I was at camp, a good friend of mine in the priesthood gave me holy oil from the relics of St. John. And so now we have an icon coming here so that we can see the icon, we can see this saint whom we have oil from, we can be anointed with it, we can pray to him. But I didn't know. I know a little bit about him. But our young women had a wonderful personal encounter with learning about who he was. Ask them. And if we miss out on the chances where they learn something that we don't, to ask them about it and to learn from them, we're ignoring some very powerful tools in the toolbox. Their take on religion can be so much greater than what ours is, and vice versa. But having come back from a camping experience and seeing everything that they learned, I was doing the teaching of it half the time. So I missed out on what some of the other priests might have been teaching some. Things that I could have learned as well. I missed out on what their counselors had taught them. I missed out on what they had been able to teach each other. And so they have a wealth of knowledge in something that I can't give to you. Use them. Ask them not just how was camp. I guarantee you you're going to get, it was good, but now I'm tired. What did you learn there? What did you bring back? What can you share with me? And we'll all be the better for it. I promise. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to Jesus Christ.
Glory be to God.
Lady, O spotless Theotokos, rejoice, O unwell.